like that. Perfect form. I love it when she moves like that. She's got perfect form. I love it when she moves like that. Moves like that.
Hey guys, I'm Cyril Hahn. I'm in London, and I'm gonna talk about my production. I mean, it's only been like 1.5 years since I released my first remix, and the first two, like Touch My Body and Say My Name, I wrote on a really like shitty Windows Vista like laptop. It was horrible. It crashed all the time. It was slow, and all I had was a MIDI keyboard and like my PSS 380. So my setup was super simple, but I think that also helped because I got to know like these few aspects really well, which helps me being more focused. But now whenever I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, I'm like bored of what I have, I'll introduce a new like instrument, which was like the Juno a few months ago. And I mean, I could have bought more stuff, but I was just like, no, like I'll just stick to one thing, really get to know it, like get the max out of it. And once I'm like bored of it, I'll add something new. But by that point, I'll always go back to the Juno and be like, oh yeah, this setting worked really well, etc., etc. So yeah, it really depends. I'll often start with the vocals. I'll just sort of skim through an a cappella and find parts that really just stand out to me, hooks. Start chopping that up. Then I'll add, maybe a bass line around it, a synth line, add a beat. It doesn't really, the order is always different. Sometimes it'll be the other way. I'll just play around with my synths, find a sound I like, sort of create more of an instrumental first, and then try out different vocals, samples that might work with it. So yeah, it depends on the song. All right, so you guys will actually be the first people to hear like the true a cappella of Perfect Form, which Shy Girl sent over, and it was basically we were just talking back and forth, and he said he'll just try coming up with an entire sort of a cappella that's basically a song. So, but it sounds really different on its own. So that's what it sounds like.
At this all night, but my tongue's getting dry. Wanna take a ride. I ain't used to your style. Keep me guessing. You keep me guessing for a while. I'm so tongue-tied.
So that's a part I end up using, I think.
And how did that come about then? That was sent to you just to see if you can do something with it?
Yeah. And I thought it was amazing. It was just like, how do you feel about this? And I was like, this is like gold.
And it was literally like that. You didn't get the individual stems for the harmonies. It was just this block.
No, I got the individual stems. This is all of it together. You can hear the piano in the back just for him as a reference. He has some strange like vocoder stuff in the back, which is cool too. So yeah, that's sort of what it sounded like on its own. And then I just isolated parts I like. I really should start naming my my projects. As you can see, it's like a mess. It's just audio. So I don't really know what's what. So I just have to hear, and then I'll know. I think that's the lead part.
Perfect form. I love it when she moves like that.
So yeah, that's one of the vocal lines that I isolated. Here's my effect chain. I often like to sort of have the vocals at an even level, so I'll put in a limiter at the very beginning, which is a bit odd, but it works for me. I put a little bit of auto-tune on it just because it was like slightly sharp, just simple reverb, like 23% dry, and then sidechain to the kick. So I like to use vocals to sort of trigger a drone sound. So I'll just use a really short vocal sample, like a hook that I like. Yeah, so this little vocal chop is not is not, that's like a found sample, it's not Shy Girls. And I just isolated a small hook, and then, you know, I think I like this kind of like drony sound because I used to be into like post-rock, and I used to play a lot of guitar, so it's, I think often when I work with sound, it's still, in my head, it looks like a pedal board, and I just like to have like my reverb, my delay. That's sort of why I often have that drony sound. There's other ones like this one, so those together will sound like this, and it's just like a nice way of layering the back. And then I'll always have some sort of white noise, just because I don't like things sounding too clinical. So this, I don't know if you can hear it, but this is the white noise. And then with like these vocal bits, it just sort of creates an atmospheric like background that I really enjoy.
I'ma let you do this
So
like you done it.
That's a normal one. So that one I chopped up just because I wanted like a delay at the end, I think.
Do this like you done it before.
So that's why I chopped it up. What do I have here? Oh yeah, I like breathing sounds too. I'll often sample that. I think it's nice. I think often my songs are a lot more chopped up in terms of samples, especially like my first few remixes. But with this one, I thought his vocals were so amazing that I didn't want to chop them too much. I like added sort of my own samples, but I left a lot of the parts as they were. So yeah, that's basically it for the vocals. I think with this one I started sort of with the chorus first. Like I built a loop that was very like climatic and sort of like a chorus, and then I spread it out after. So that's sort of an 808 bass, and then I layered that with sort of like a punchier bass line.
Are these both from Ableton's synths?
One is the sort of 808 sound, and the other one is the Mini Moog. I think that one is from Arturia. Yeah. So that's what I used for the sort of punchier bass line. I really like the Arturia VSDs. I find when it comes to emulating sort of 80 synths, they do it best. So that's probably like what I added first to the vocals. Then I probably start like building a beat around it.
Do you use instruments for your beats, or do you use samples for single?
I actually use samples. I actually use two different things. Sort of a typical 808, just cause I like to have a big sub sound on my bass, and then I'll usually layer it with like just a typical drum machine samples. Yeah, I think it's a Lin or TR-707. I don't remember what I used, but one of those. And then I just layer them together and sort of adjust the clicks on each, just so they sort of merge really well. I'd say my beats are definitely very like, you know, they're very boxy and sort of drum machine sounding, which I like. I always love claps. Can't let go of claps ever. What have some toms.
And your beat's quite dry. Considering, because I guess the vocals are sort of quite wet with reverb. And
yeah, I have them. Let's see. I mean, my kick is definitely pretty dry. The rest is sort of between 5 and 11, I think. I think the most reverb I probably have on the claps. I like if they have a bit of a trail. That kind of notion. And then for more melodic parts, I just used a typical like M1 sort of housey organ sound. I often use, you know, I'll use similar sounds and merge them together. just to give it more like a full-bodied sound. Some strings, obviously, in the background. What else do I have here? Just a lot of drony stuff for just, you know, layering that background. Some arpeggiated stuff. And as you can hear, there's just on all these sort of the stuff I have more in the back in terms of volume is just.
That's quite a big ARP sound as well.
Yeah, and I like drown it in reverb just to make it like a little more like atmospheric and give it more of an ambient sound. So that one too. And you're right, yeah, they're pretty like, if I used them as a main lead, it would be it would be like a pretty crazy song, but I think if you use them right, they can be really like nice layering tools. So, and then there's more coming in over here for the second like chorus. What do I have here? Let's see. Just more arpeggiated stuff, very drony. So all of those together just build like a nice background.
So musically, it's not particularly complicated. It's just layers and layer upon
layer.
Of
and like
small bits pieced together.
Yeah, and it comes down to like the more layers you have, the messier it gets. So it's just about keeping the mix clean. And for each, I don't really use send and return effects for production. I like to have my reverb and all the effects for each channel, and I just carefully adjust like the perfect amount of like dryness and decay time for like each channel. What I have here, that's just some Juno class, like my actual hardware Juno for just some more layering in the back. Yeah, so then if you bring it back in. So it's sort of, my bass line and my lead line are very like clean and crisp, I'd say. And then they're just like contrasted by this like washed out ambient-y like background. Yeah, so for mixing and mastering, I obviously don't do the mastering myself anymore. I still do the mixing myself. Sometimes it depends on the song and how happy I am with my mix. So it happens, for me, the mixing just happens on the go. I like to sort of in my master channel, I have these multiband compressors from Ableton, which I really like. Of course, once I send it off to the master, I'll take these out, but those are just to sort of give me a sense of what it'll sound like mastered. Let's see, the difference. They just clean it up a bit, so if I take them out, you can hear how like flat it sounds. This one I just use to like adjust how much lows, mids, and highs I want. This one I like tweak on a long time just sort of to clean it up at the end. It makes the highs a bit punchier, but.
So it has one stacked on top of the other?
Yeah. But as I said, I don't send this off. I don't send it off. Once I send it off for mastering, I take these out. These are just merely for reference for myself, to give myself more of an idea what the master will sound like.
And you mix into these though during the whole record, so these will be on from.
These will be on from the start. I just like to have that. I usually throw like a limiter. Where's it at right now? Yeah, so usually when I work, I have a limiter on too, just to sort of emulate what it'll sound like later on. That's how I've always worked. Yeah, I prefer it that way.
And mixing wise, all in the box or in your studio? Did you stem it out or go through a desk?
No. It's just by ear. I go through each track, adjust the volume, adjust. Sometimes I go into a track and just need to clean up lows, mids, or highs depending on which one. Like, I'll go into a synth and be like, this has too much bass. which just like is not necessary. I only want the mids and highs from this track, and so on.
And you're pretty much using all Ableton plugins for the mixing stages in terms of EQs and stuff, and compressors.
Yeah, definitely. I sort of I think what I like is to just have a very, very basic setup. Otherwise, I get too distracted by like, you know, just playing around, and I get unfocused. So what I like is to have like a basic setup I know well, and then adding more pieces on the go. Once I feel like, okay, I'm bored, like I've done this, let's like add something new. And same goes for my hardware.